There was a time, long before social media and public opinion polls, when truth was just as unpopular as it is today. Imagine a prosperous city, a place described in the Quran, where life was comfortable, the markets were bustling, the leaders were admired, and traditions ran deep. On the surface, it was a picture of success, but beneath that shiny exterior, something was wrong. Injustice had slowly become normal. Dishonesty was just a part of doing business, and arrogance had found a home in the hearts of many. Into this very environment came a man. He had no army, no wealth, and zero interest in being popular. All he carried was a message, the truth from Allah. He began to speak, gently at first. He reminded people that their blessings weren't earned by their status, but were gifts from Allah. He warned them that things like corruption, oppression, and dishonesty wouldn't just be ignored forever. He called them back to the basics: accountability, humility, and justice. The message was simple, but it was not welcome. The leaders scoffed at him. They argued, "If what you say is true, why does it threaten everything we've built?" Others complained, "Your words are disturbing the peace. You're making people uncomfortable." And right there, in that reaction, the real nature of truth was revealed. Truth isn't unpopular because it's unclear or confusing. Truth is unpopular because it demands change. The Quran shows us this pattern over and over. When truth arrives on the scene, it challenges power structures, comfortable habits, and our own egos. Allah tells us that most people don't reject the truth because there's not enough evidence. They reject it because it threatens the things they love: their status, their wealth, their way of life. So, the people started labeling the man. Some called him divisive. Others said he was arrogant for claiming to have guidance from God. A few even said, if Allah really wanted to guide us, He would have chosen someone more impressive, someone more important. But Allah doesn't choose His messengers based on a popularity contest. He chooses them based on their sincerity. As time went on, the man's message never changed. He didn't water it down to make it more palatable. He didn't adjust it to get more followers. He refused to trade truth for acceptance. He just kept speaking with patience, knowing that guidance ultimately comes from Allah alone. And yet, the more clearly he spoke the truth, the fewer people seemed to listen. This is one of the toughest lessons in the Qur'an, and holding on to the truth can be a very lonely journey. Allah reminds us that most of the prophets were rejected by their own people, the very people they loved and wanted to save. They were mocked, threatened, and isolated. They were accused of trying to ruin society. Why? Because truth exposes what people would rather keep hidden. It shines a light on unjust systems. It exposes the false comfort we build around ourselves. It exposes our self-deception. Truth forces a person to look in the mirror and ask a very difficult question. Am I wrong? And for many, the question is too heavy to bear. The Quran tells us that when the truth becomes clear, some hearts soften and open up, but other hearts harden. Arrogance can turn guidance into a personal offense. Pride can turn a gentle reminder into a stinging insult. Eventually, the people demanded proof, not because they genuinely wanted to believe, but because they wanted the truth to fail, to be disproven. When signs and miracles did come, they just dismissed them. When the warnings became more serious, they just mocked even louder. And when accountability finally arrived, it came suddenly and without warning. But this story isn't just told to satisfy our historical curiosity. It's told to serve as a mirror for us. Because this pattern didn't end with ancient nations. It's still happening right now. Even today, truth remains unpopular. If you speak honestly about injustice, you're told you're being too harsh or divisive. If you talk about accountability, you're called judgmental. If you speak about Allah's commands, people might tell you they're outdated or not relevant anymore. The reality is, truth has never been a good competitor against comfort. Allah reminds us in the Quran that falsehood often travels faster because it promises an easy way out. It flatters the ego and tells us what we want to hear. Truth, on the other hand, asks for sacrifice. It humbles the ego. It asks us to be better. And yet, with all this, Allah gives us a powerful promise. He promises that the truth, even when it's rejected by the masses, is never lost. Every single word spoken with sincerity is recorded. Every stand taken for what is right is seen by Him. The success of the prophets wasn't measured by the crowds that followed them. They were successful because they remained truthful, even when they were completely alone. And that is the ultimate lesson for us. If you find yourself holding on to the truth and feeling isolated because of it, know that you are not abandoned. If doing the right thing makes you unpopular, know that you are not mistaken. If standing by your faith costs you the approval of others, you are not failing. You are simply walking a path that has always been narrow and less traveled. Allah doesn't ask us to make the truth popular. He just asks us to be faithful to it. Because in the end, popularity fades away. Trends come and go, but the truth will stand before all change, undefeated and eternal. And that is why truth has always been, and will likely always be, unpopular. Thank you for watching. If this message resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content. See you in the next one.